Hello, everybody. Welcome to Decked. My name is Tyler, and with me is my friend Ray.
How's it going, Tyler?
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
Thanks for coming back to the show.
Hey, no problem.
Ray and I are the local Call of Cthulhu card game players, and in this episode of Decked, you get to see us play out a match from start to finish. I think, as I recall, when I was setting this up, I skipped over the mulligan step, so you were watching our final draw. We'll see that for
that's
sure
right,
in a
because
second.
we both mulliganed on the original play.
I believe so. I just in the interest of time, I felt it would be useful if we went straight to the mulligan or the final commitment of
the
cards.
final commitment. Yeah, it makes much more sense. Because who wants to watch us shuffle cards again?
I mean, you've seen how I shuffle cards. It takes a while.
It does. It does.
So in this game, Ray, what are you playing?
I am playing a deck, is an agency Shub-Niggurath deck that I have named Bloodbath and Beyond. It uses a fair amount of cards from the new For the Greater Good expansion, which focuses on the agency. And the deck is all about getting lots of combat. I've called Skull here, and I have lost.
Right.
And
I opted to go first.
yes.
As I've mentioned previously, I'm playing around with always going first, just to have had the advantage of resourcing another card, putting some characters on the table, even if they didn't necessarily get to commit to anything. And I think it's generally beneficial.
Yes.
And in this case, you can see that I'm playing a mono Cthulhu faction deck, which is based on a sample deck that was included as part of the run-up to the Sleeper Below faction box. There's a little bit of modification to it because I need to borrow some cards for Rebirth of the Cult, which people can see in episode 8 of Decked. So I was drawing in from my wider library of cards to sort of fill out the missing functions. And in this case, I believe I have played out the Watcher of Signs, who brings investigation to the Cthulhu faction, which is greatly appreciated. And I'm desperately trying to make out that card just beyond her. I bet you it's Aziz Chachulaka.
Could be.
I think it's Aziz. I can see the scroll he's carrying as he runs away.
Right.
Aziz's gimmick is that you sacrifice him and drain all your undrained domains to put an Ancient One into play temporarily.
Gotcha. Yes, that is what you had.
Which is huge.
Remember that, right? I have chosen not to resource anything else on my first turn here, which is a...
Really interesting. Why did you do that?
Honestly, I had a very low-cost hand. I felt I could afford to do it. I have dropped a new recruit who, when he is put into a discard pile from play, he may be shuffled back into the library.
Right.
And I've given him a prized pistol. And the prized pistol gives him a combat icon, and I can pay 1 and exhaust the prized pistol to destroy a character with skill less than the number of combat icons my character has.
Right, right.
So in this case, I got rid of Aziz because I didn't need you cheating Ancient Ones into play.
Right.
In particular, Cthulhu. And since he only had a skill of 1, and between the new recruit's natural combat icon plus the one it gained from the prized pistol, it allowed me to go through there.
Yep. And this is interesting. I must be doing something. There it is.
Yep, Deep One Assault.
Because there's no way I would send the poor Watcher of Signs up against somebody with that many skulls.
Right. And in a previous episode of Decked, we had talked about how attachment cards have a 2-for-1 aspect to them.
Right.
And there's a key point of it right there.
Yeah, you paid for 2 cards, and I paid once to get rid of both.
Exactly. And as you can see, I've chosen not to shuffle my new recruit into my deck in this case.
Right.
Sometimes you don't want to shuffle them in, especially, I do believe in this case I probably had another one in hand.
Yeah, do you generally go by, do I have another one in hand, or is it more of a gut, I could probably use them later?
It's more of a gut thing. I don't want to... when the deck's getting thinner, I like to shuffle them in more because I know I'm going to get them right back. In this case, I probably wanted more options than just getting another new recruit back,
Right.
So why risk it?
So I threw out a second Watcher of Signs, and then I attached a dormant card to the second dragon there at the top of the row.
Yes, and you actually had to pay for your dormant card in this case, because you do have to pay for each success
Which
token
burned.
on the story.
I don't know if I can emphasize how much it burned when I realized I needed to do that.
Yeah, and we've played a lot of games, and I've played against this deck a few times, and it's the first time I've ever seen you pay for a dormant card.
Right, it's the first time ever I have done it.
Well, see, fair enough, so there we go.
But it was just
you're well on your way to winning it.
Yeah. It seemed like a fair pay at the time.
Yeah.
Relative to what was going to come out. It's funny with the whole dormant aspect. Like this deck was sort of built to showcase the dormant cards in it.
Right.
And I feel like there are only 2 that I've ever truly played out as dormant characters.
I think I remember 3 cards possibly that you've played as dormant, but
Oh, that's true. Oh, and I also want to point out there's a Temper of Juliet in play, which puts a lot of pressure on the other player to keep ahead on in terms of characters.
Yes, it does. So this is a Relentless Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
He adds a combat struggle to things he's at.
Right.
And he has 2 skulls himself, and I can choose to not uncommit him from a story if I want.
Which makes it super hazardous to send anybody anywhere.
Right.
Or to that story at any rate.
Exactly. And I also played another new recruit, and I just played a Tommy gun, I do believe. Yes, that's a Tommy gun.
Yep.
On my Relentless Hunter. That gives him yet another combat struggle icon and gives him 2 more combat. So he's now at 4 combat icons, plus he adds 2 combat struggles to a story.
Tommy gun adds a struggle as well.
Yes, it does.
Interesting. And these are both from the new For the Greater Good box.
Yes, both of those cards are from the new Greater Good box.
Mm-hmm. And then you chose to stick.
I did chose to stick. This is one of those situations where I realized that if I went, I could really only go for one of the stories because you can win both of those stories if I don't have anything to commit against you. Mm-hmm. So there was no point adding success tokens to either of those stories because you were just going to win them. And I needed to be on the defensive, so I needed to be able to kill your Watcher of the Signs if I needed to.
Right.
So this was a situation where I wanted to head first, but I hung back and chose to play defensively so that I could play my resources where they were going to do me the most good.
Mm-hmm. And then I made a really weird choice here. I think I remember why I was doing this, but as you can see, I resourced up to 4 on that domain, and then I paid for San Giorgio and Alga, which is a 2-cost card.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure it's because I'm building to something in my hand that I know I need to pay to get out. That I couldn't, I can't discount or cheat in some other way.
Right.
And I'm gonna bet it's the Ruinous Starspawn.
Could be.
But right now I'm deliberating. What am I gonna do? Because you've got an
I've
array
a lot
of
of combat over there. Yeah.
And then, like with 2 characters, I couldn't even sort of I can't sort of chump my way through the combat struggle because there could be 3 of them.
Right.
And then I do this.
And you decided to split, which I think was probably the right thing because in this case, not knowing what you had under there, what you had available, because you do have 2 undrained domains. And here I'm going after the one that you have the dormant card on.
Right. Because you want to keep that from hitting the table as long as possible.
Exactly.
And then I sacrifice a Watcher to the temple.
Yep. At which point in time I sacrifice a new recruit, and then you're going to sacrifice that one.
Yep.
You were just hoping that maybe you could get away with a free win, but in this case it was clear my side of the board. And again, yep. I've lost 2 for 1 on my Relentless Hunter.
Right.
And the Tommy gun. And this time I am shuffling the new recruit back into my deck.
Right.
As I've just lost 3 characters in the first 2 turns, I decided maybe I needed to keep my characters around. Offered you a cut.
We only cut for the camera. I'm just going to point that out.
This is true.
When I first started playing Magic, I didn't know cutting was a thing. It wasn't until somebody taught me Netrunner. My friend Alex taught me Netrunner. They were like, "Oh, we cut cards in these games." Okay.
Yeah, I've playing Magic and doing some new recruits everywhere.
Did you have another one in your hand, or did you draw it fresh?
I don't know, but he's got the prize pistol too. This is like the first turn all over again.
It's kind of a reset. You're only 1 up on your resources too.
Yeah, I'm only 1 up on my resources, and that is Yati Veo.
Fucking Yati Veo.
That is coming down. Unfortunately, having played everything out, I can't use the pistol on anything that you're going to play on your turn. Mm-hmm. And I actually can't activate Yati Veo either because he cost 1 to
Is it pay 1 on the pistols?
The pistols is pay 1, yes. Okay. Pay 1 and exhaust the pistols.
Yep, that makes sense.
I do like the fact that it's exhaust the pistols and not exhaust the character that they're attached to.
Now I'm filtering the top of my deck thanks to San Giorgio.
Yep.
Which I should be revealing to Ray, I believe.
Yes, you should be revealing to me. I think I realized this later on during this game.
Yep, I remember that.
Looks like you kept a conspiracy.
Yeah, I remember that conspiracy.
I'm like, trying to see your cards at a really weird angle.
Yeah, we'll figure the cards I've used some out someday. Oh, this is where I need to be telling you what I'm revealing. So
Yep.
I was showing you that I threw away a temple, and what looks like Henry Anthony Wilcox.
And there's the
Bokrug and the Conspiracy of Ancient Plans.
Yep.
Ancient Rite.
And you took the conspiracy and got rid of the Bokrug.
Yep.
Which, smart move.
Right, because the conspiracy will get Bokrug.
Exactly.
That is a really fun conspiracy to be able to trigger. It doesn't have. It's only happened once or twice, but it's like, and then I go and resource it.
And then you go and resource it. Yes.
Because I really wanted that villainous star spawn. I'm pretty certain that's what's about to come out, unless I pay for Henry Anthony. It's been so long.
Don't know what's coming.
That's Henry.
That's Henry Anthony. Yep.
So Henry's a cultist. He's a 4-cost cultist. When you play a cultist, so he can respond to himself, he'll gain invulnerability, and cultist characters will gain a terror icon until the end of the turn.
Yes, and this is where it really started to go downhill for me. All right, so you've got invulnerability, so there's terror icon.
Right.
So I could send Yativeo there. He's got a terror icon as well, but it's not going to do me any good because any combat and stuff I'm not going to get through. And now you've dormanted Cthulhu into play.
Yep, and forgotten to trigger his response.
Yes.
He's got an interesting response where I can nuke my resources. I can nuke resources on my domain to make you sacrifice characters of skill or cost.
I can't remember which it is.
Well, if you can vamp for a second.
Yeah, no problem. It's either skill or cost. I've drawn my cards now, and I'm actually looking at this going, all right, Cthulhu's invulnerable. Anytime he plays a cultist, this other guy's going to be invulnerable. For a deck entitled Bloodbath and Beyond, invulnerability, not the best thing to be playing against.
No, it's hard. Cthulhu targets cost.
Targets costs, okay.
So I could remove up to 3 resources and then target cost 3 characters or lower.
What I really needed at this point in time is I do have the 3 bells in this deck. Mm-hmm. And I really needed the 3 bells to come up.
You needed to be able to apply equal pressure to the temple.
Exactly, equal pressure to the temple.
3 bells are a little slower because you have to pay an exhaust, but they give you a benefit in the long run because you can sack it to pull a character from anybody's discard and put it into play.
Exactly.
And that's a pretty special effect that I have not yet gotten to take advantage of. But when it happens, it's great.
Yeah.
Especially when they have an interplay effect.
All right.
And this is the new agency attachment, story attachment.
Yes. Whose name is escaping me
Surveillance?
at the moment.
Is it Under Surveillance?
Under Surveillance, yes. Mm-hmm. Good memory, Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Under Surveillance, which makes all combat struggles resolve first. Mm-hmm. At that story, and on top of that, whenever a character would be wounded by a combat struggle at attached story, I may choose to place a success token on that story instead.
Right.
So whenever an opposing character would be wounded.
Yeah. So I always thought that was a pretty clever way to sort of let agency get a leg up on non-standard success token placement.
Yes. Unfortunately, again, I'm looking at this going, oh, there's an invulnerable Cthulhu.
Right.
And there's...
potentially invulnerable cultist.
And potentially invulnerable cultist. And having played against this deck a few times, I was well aware of the fact that there was a number of cultists in the deck for that to be triggering. That's Cthulhu you just played? Spawn?
I believe it's Cthulhu, yeah. The spawn of Cthulhu, if you believe... oh, golly, what's his name? There's a pastiche Cthulhu writer from the 70s. I want to say it's Brian Ludlum.
Okay.
Who wrote sort of Cthulhu, but it was more in the manic Cthulhu and shotguns mode.
Gotcha.
You know, it's less about going crazy and more about blowing stuff up. But part of his contribution to the mythos was Cthulhu had created a female spawn named Cthulhu, through which Cthulhu would be reborn.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah. However, Cthulhu, being an ancient one, also has the nice invulnerability keyword.
Not all ancient ones are invulnerable.
Not all ancient ones are invulnerable, but most, especially the faction-specific ones, tend to be more invulnerable. At least the pretty much faction-specific ones.
Some of them have extra toughness. I think Glaaki has toughness.
Yeah, I think Glaaki has toughness.
Umar? Does Umar have toughness? We'll find out next episode. Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. You will find out next episode. I'm pretty sure he has invulnerable, though. I'm pretty sure he's invulnerable in willpower.
Okay. But things like Nodens, for instance, only have toughness.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe Iod, he's so new that I don't know him very well, but he feels like he's so low cost, he's got to be toughness.
Yeah, he really feels like he has to be toughness. And no, Enwar is invulnerable. Nug's invulnerable.
Fucking
Nug. The named faction ones, Cthulhu. Although, is there all Cthulhu's invulnerable, or is there a certain Cthulhu that's possibly not?
I would be surprised if one had toughness. I would be very surprised. So you're double committing here.
I am double committing.
That looks like the heirloom you're going against. Oh, you're defending against.
I'm defending against.
You're defending the heirloom against Cthulhu.
Against Cthulhu, right? Because you are already one story up here. I'm trying desperately to hold on.
And Cthulhu's, I don't know if interesting is the word, but she's sort of like the Temper of Enrelia, in that you can the controller of Cthulhu can sacrifice a character, have each opponent sacrifice a character with a printed cost equal to or greater than the character sacrificed.
Yes, that's a huge thing, because right now you have very high skill characters out there, and I don't. And that is another deep one assault, if I'm not.
Yeah, I just assaulted somebody.
Mistaken.
I don't know why.
Most likely the new recruit.
Oh, right. You must have been trying to figure out if you were going to stop it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did have cards in hand. Oh, that's right. I know what's coming. You're all surprised I'm playing stuff, and it's the cats.
Oh, the cats of Ulthar.
The cats of Ulthar have come into play. Now, the cats of Ulthar, they cost 3 to play normally, but you can also pay 3 to put them into play committed to a story. They have 2 combat icons, and that's pretty much their biggest. Oh, they're fast.
Right.
That is the other reason why I played them, is because they're fast.
They're great jumpers.
They are great jumpers, and they also have the ability to get rid of Zoog characters, which, with the recent reprinting of the Dreamlands packs, are now could possibly be everywhere.
Right. I was just thinking, they were the jumper you saw the least, because they were in the Dreamland cycle, but now with the cards being back.
Right. I really need to get some black dogs for this deck as well.
Yeah, black dogs are awesome. Respect the black dog.
Respect the black dog, yeah, because they really would work in this deck really well. I just have to get their Asylum pack. And
Have you tried working more?
Tried working more?
To get money?
To get money? Honestly, I do. I think it's more of a availability of the items to...
Oh, you can't get that pack anymore?
I don't know. The place where I normally get the packs, I don't think has it in stock currently, so I will have to go to an alternate avenue. And
I see.
I tend to resist alternate avenues. I like being loyal to where I shop.
Sure. I feel that way too. And it looks like I sacked Henry to
make me sacrifice something, and in this case, I chose, because it was, if I hadn't sacrificed the cats, if I had sacrificed Yativeo, then the cats would have just gone insane. So it was either have insane cats and no Yativeo, or have Yativeo and no cats. And
does Yativeo have toughness? How did it survive the combat? Or did they bump on combat?
They bumped on combat. I do believe Cthulhu only has 1 combat icon.
Cthulhu, I'm so disappointed in you. Cthulhu's got 1 combat. Very disappointed in Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Not an heir to Cthulhu.
How many terror icons does Cthulhu have?
She's got 1.
1? Okay, so they bounced on everything then.
Yeah, nobody really cares. Apparently nobody's that concerned by Cthulhu.
Yeah, well.
It's a Brian Ludlam creation, what can you say?
Yeah, okay. That just came into play
Tell us about that.
is a dull ant that just came into play.
Ant or antlion?
Antlion, sorry, antlion. Now, the antlion is interesting. It has toughness +5.
Yes.
I think that's probably the highest toughness I know of in the game. And at the end of every story phase, I either have to wound a character, sacrifice a character? I can't remember which it is. I have to do something with a character, or I have to wound the antlion.
Right.
And as long as the antlion has no wounds on it, it does not exhaust to commit to stories.
Which is swanky, but once you start wounding it...
Once you start wounding it, it's only a matter of a few story phases, because it's not just story phases on your turn, it's your story phase, your opponent's story phase.
Right.
Yada, 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 going back and forth, which would kill it pretty fast, coincidentally enough. But it does have, I do believe it's 1 terror and 3 combat icons.
It's beefy.
It is beefy. I really just kind of wanted to try it out. It cost 4. It's got 4 or 5 skill, I do believe. I wanted to try it out. It's probably going to get, honestly, it would be the first thing to get cut for Black Dogs.
Yep. Black Dogs are fairly versatile.
Right, as it's the same faction.
2 skulls fast.
Yeah, 2 skulls fast.
Pay 1 to come from nowhere.
Exactly. And definitely whenever you're playing against a Shub-Niggurath deck, you've got to pay attention to open resources when you can commit stuff early in the game because of the Black Dogs.
Black Dogs, however, can be played off faction.
This is true. They can be played off faction.
Some people do that. I think it's a little overboard, but it could be done.
It could be done. This is true.
And now that Dreamlands Fanatic is back in wide circulation, also an off-faction option.
Yes, this is true.
Because characters being destroyed and leaving play happens a lot.
Yes, it does.
So all right, you're deliberating?
I am deliberating because right now I can send my Giganto Antlion out without having to do anything with him, but he's probably just going to get murdered in his sleep if I do that.
But he took a wound.
But he took a wound because I went through the story phase and chose not to commit anything,
Yep.
and so he has to take a wound for that.
Right.
You are now revealing cards.
Yep. Because that's the thing you're supposed to do. I bet you one of those is the high-cost disaster.
That is definitely the high-cost disaster that I can't remember. The other one's a Watcher of Signs.
Right.
That you're putting on the bottom. And if I recall correctly, when we were playing, you took the disaster because you wanted to be able to play it because you've never had a chance to play it.
No, certainly not in memory, and that disaster is from the depths.
And you've got a bone sculptor, it looks like, that you just put under, and I don't know what you're keeping there.
I bet you... I might be a little surprised, but I bet you it's Lord of the Silver Twilight.
Could be. I think it was a cultist that you just played on kind of resourcing, apparently.
Yeah. I know Lord of the Silver Twilight is in here, and he's got I noticed, like, the yellow face.
Right.
So I'm kind of thinking that's who it was.
Regardless, you've resourced him mainly because you had to resource him to play
From the Depths.
From the Depths.
Now, From the Depths is a cool disaster. It's 6 cost. It's got a lot of steadfast in it, but you get to reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, like I'm doing here.
Right.
And all the characters are put into play.
Yeah. This is bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially with the temple out. This is where I'm just kind of looking at this going, right, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm going to be able to come back from this because amongst all this, you've played yet another ancient one.
Right. And I did not incorrectly tag Cathogda's when you play ability.
Right. And now you have yet another invulnerable character on the
I have 3 ancient ones, which might be a personal best.
Yeah, it's very impressive. I will admit, after we played this game, I went home, started looking through what ancient ones I had available, thought about possibly building an ancient one deck.
Mm-hmm.
Also because now that I have Iod, the new one there, the cheap one, who's
mm-hmm.
neutral, I was like, well, maybe I can get him out fairly fast and
mm-hmm.
do some stuff with him. But
it's interesting the way that they're adding more ways to get ancient ones out faster.
yeah,
Like there's Ancient Rites, the Conspiracy. I don't think it sees play in this game, but it lets you search your deck for an ancient one and put it into play.
right.
The Silver Twilight just got a ritual that lets them summon an ancient one. So they're a traditionally non-Ancient One faction that could have one completely out of faction if they wanted.
You just sacrificed 2 cultists to destroy my only 2 characters.
Right.
Now you're just Ancient One assaulting everything while leaving Cthulhu hanging back.
Yes, the Ancient Ones are running roughshod over the earth. It's a little like Hellboy when the Ogdru Jihad are about to burst through.
Yeah, it's just... Humanity's done, folks.
Yep. But then you see the flaw in the Ancient Ones where they can't place a 3rd token to save their lives.
Right. Because we need Ancient Ones with investigation icons. That's what we need.
There isn't one yet. I feel like that's yet a corner of the development sphere that needs to be worked on.
Yes. Ancient Ones with investigation icons. Had to be neutral.
Right. Neutral and Ancient Ones.
Yes, neutral Ancient One with an investigation icon.
There's only a handful of neutral Ancient Ones at all.
I can think of 4 off the top of my head.
That sounds like a handful compared to everybody else.
That does sound like a handful compared to everybody else.
There's Nodens, Iod, the one from Seekers of Knowledge.
Enwar.
Enwar, that's the word.
And there's the Swarm, the Matriarch of Swarms.
Right, Mr. Z.
Yes.
Mrs. Z, I guess.
Mrs. Z, yes.
Z. Is that the Confident Rookie?
That is a Confident Rookie.
And the 3 bells.
And the 3 bells. Yes, I finally got the 3 bells, and now I'm going to use the 3 bells. Sacrifice my Confident Rookie, and I'm going to be super excited about this. You sacrificed Cthulhu. I got rid of an Ancient One.
You took an Ancient One out with a rookie.
I took an Ancient One out with a rookie. More like I took an Ancient One out with 3 bells. But
but I mean, it was the rookie. Well, he didn't wield the 3 bells. He was fed to the 3 bells.
He was fed to the 3 bells. He was like, here I am, ding dong, bleh.
There's a Fanatic. I'm keeping the Fanatic, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, this is elementary at this point in time, right. As I'm drained out and tapped out, and you only need 1 investigation icon to win your 3rd story.
So, in the meantime, we'd like to thank everybody for watching Decked. You can visit youtube.com/DeckedShow to learn more. And we'll see you next time on the show. Ray, thanks for playing.
Thanks for letting me play.